Right, it's 5:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here this evening for our fifth workshop, Winter Streak workshop. I just want to go over a few housekeeping items with everybody before we begin. If you haven't already, please put your first and last name into the chat, and that way we can you'll get credit for attending the workshop, and it will go towards an entry towards our prizes. Um, My name is Jen Gasly, and I'm here with Becca Hamner. We are the community health coordinators for WellSpan and also lead the Winter Streak Wellness Program together. This is being recorded, and the workshop will be available on winterstreak.org, and we will also email it to all of you on Friday, as well as a link for a survey. If you could please take a moment to complete that, that would be great. It gives us great feedback. It will also give you an entry towards our prizes. And I think that's all my items, just double checking. All right, I will now pass this over to Becca, who will introduce our presenter for this evening. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. So today I'm honored to introduce Megan Miliziano. Megan is a certified and licensed athletic trainer with 12 years of experience, the last 10 of which she has spent as part of WellSpan's WellFit program. She received her Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Millersville University and her Bachelor of Science degree in athletic training from Westchester University. She then went on to receive her Master of Arts degree in health promotion from Concord University, and currently, she resides in New York with her husband and son. And in her free time, she enjoys outdoor activities such as hiking, kayaking, camping, and vacationing in the Outer Banks. For now, I will hand it over to Megan.
All right. Thank you, ladies. So I am excited today to present to you guys on strength training made easy. I think strength training often can be intimidating, especially if it's your first time getting into something like this. So my goal is to show you guys it's not, it does not have to be scary. And I'll show you some easier things that you can start with if you're new to strength training. So, a couple of our objectives to go through. I want you to be able to learn how to exercise at home with little to no equipment. So, I'll go through some, different modifications that you can make and possibly use some things that you have in your own household so you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of equipment in order to exercise. I want you to learn tips to improve your whole body strength, such as what to do and what not to do to avoid injury and avoid pain. And today you'll see a demonstration of and practice safe, simple exercises that address your whole body in a short session. So just a couple benefits of strength training. As we know, it is important. I'm sure that's why you guys are here, right? We want to get started with it. So as we age, we all tend to lose lean muscle mass. That's just something that happens. So strength training can help to combat that. Resistance training can help to maintain and combat that loss, slow it down a little bit, and it can help to improve your muscular fitness. It also helps to prevent osteoporosis by increasing your bone density. So, by loading your body with weights, that puts a little stress on your bones, but it helps to increase the density. And again, that's why we're going to do a little bit of that. It also helps to decrease the risk of heart disease by lowering body fat, decreasing your blood pressure, and improving your cholesterol. Again, all good benefits, all things that we probably all want to work on. And it helps to lower the stress placed on your heart while lifting. For example, if you were to go and lift a really heavy box today, I haven't lifted in a long time, that's going to put a lot of strain on your body, a lot of strain on your heart. So if you're used to that, you've been lifting, and you go to lift that heavy box, then it's less of a strain on your heart. So again, just better to build up to that slowly in a controlled manner through exercise. Strength training also helps with blood glucose regulation, and it can help to enhance your quality of life. So if there's certain activities you haven't been able to get back to that you want to get back to, you just don't feel strong enough for, that's again another benefit of strength training. You can work towards getting back to those things. So before we start, I have a couple precautions. Most importantly, make sure that you are in a chair that is not going to move. So a computer chair with wheels is probably not ideal for a lot of what we're going to do today. So now is your chance. If you do have one of those, try to swap it out for something that is stationary, something that's not going to move. You could put it against the wall, but I would really prefer not to have any wheels on it if possible. So if you have a second, go swap that out for something a little bit safer. Take rest breaks as we're going through. So I'm going to try to go through a little bit quickly so we can cover a lot of different things, but don't feel like you have to keep up with that pace. Just try a couple reps. And if you have to take a rest break, please take a rest break, take a break and start on the next exercise if you need when we come up to that. Whatever feels right for you is fine. If you're new to exercise, just a general caveat, just make sure you've had a follow-up with your doctor recently. I would definitely recommend yearly physicals, but if it's something you're new and getting into, after today, if it's a goal of yours, just discuss it with your doctor. Just make sure, they're aware of your medical history, and they're clearing you to exercise safely. And if you have any recent changes, like significant changes, make sure you're running that by your doctor first because there are some situations where exercise can make conditions worse. So, again, just have that quick discussion with them. They are probably thrilled that you want to start some strength training. So, I'm sure they'll all be on board. Under that same thing, if you have any limitations due to cardiac issues, lifting limitations, like you're only able to lift past, 10 pounds, for example, or you have any post-surgical limitations, please talk to your doctor first before strength training. So you can definitely cause some harm if you're doing things that you're not quite ready for. As far as what we're doing today and in general with strength training, don't push to the point of pain, but especially today, and I'll go into more detail during our session. If you have any acute pain, sharp pain, numbness, tingling, stop the exercise. It's not worth it. Let's just wait and move on to the next one. Again, just listen to your body and do what feels right and pick what feels the safest. So I'll do a mostly seated, but I will give some options for standing. If you feel safe to stand, go for it. Do what feels right for you. And lastly, I always recommend a warm up. Now, for today's purposes, we don't have time to go through a full warm up, but my coworker Jody has a really great presentation that she did for a previous winter streak. It's on the website. So if you're looking for some warm-up ideas, you can pull that up and look that up for another time. But I would recommend, 5 to 10 minutes of that prior to a normal exercise routine. All right, so let me get everything set and then we will get started. Just want to make sure everyone can see me in my chair. All right, I'm going to adjust one more time so you can see my head a little bit better. All right. So again, everyone start out with your safe chair against the wall. Okay. Safety first. So this is a common concept with all of these exercises, but you do want to engage your core and you want to make sure throughout the whole program you're going to have a good posture. So to start, we're going to do some core exercises just to kind of warm up that area. And then again, you'll hear me reminding you of that as we go through. So the first thing you want to sit against the back of your chair and you can always put your hands on your stomach if this helps you to engage your core. You're going to pull your belly button in towards the back of the chair and then relax. So we're going to do about 10 of those. Now, if this is something that feels easy for you, you can do a 3-second hold with it. That's a great way to make it more challenging. Again, pull that belly button in and then relax. If you're holding for 3 seconds, try to breathe out while you're holding. That just helps to control it and to make sure that you're not holding your breath for those 3 seconds. You want to keep breathing through all the exercises. So everybody keep going. Another thing that you can do with these, I think sometimes this helps to engage your core a little bit better. If you're someone that struggles with feeling like you're engaging the correct muscles, you can use a ball or you can use a pillow. Just roll it up, sit it on your lap, and you're going to press down while you're pushing your belly button back towards the back of the chair. So again, just to give you some other options for items at home, anything will do. Anything round and soft will be perfect. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through the next couple activities. Again, you want to have a nice tight core through all these. You'll get more of a benefit from them. So we're going to start with legs. Next exercise is going to be a kick. So you're going to take one leg at a time and you're going to kick each leg out. We'll go for about 10 on each, but again, do what feels right for you. You can alternate them. You can do them all on the same side. It does not matter. Just make sure you get both legs worked by the time it's all over. And another key concept here with movement is think 2 seconds up, 1 second down. So you don't want your leg to be flying through the motion. Faster is not better, especially with strength training. You can really get into trouble with that. So keep that in mind, slow and steady as you're going through. If it feels uncomfortable to straighten your knee the whole way, you don't have to go the whole way. Just work in a range that feels comfortable for you. And this is another one. You can add some ankle weights if you have ankle weights. That will help to give you some resistance, something light to start. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. We're going to do a march. So especially with this one, again, nice tight core, flat back against the chair, nice and flat, and you're going to lift. I like to alternate with this one, but you can do them all in a row if you want. Let's do about 10 on each, just like that. So a couple options for this one. You can do this one standing. You can put some weights on your ankles, or if you have dumbbells, you can put them on top. Again, just to give you a little resistance. Just be careful they don't fall on your toes. And if you're standing, this one will look like this, just lifting up. I know you guys can't see my head, but as far as my leg, that's the most important part. Just nice and controlled. And if you need something in front of you to hold on, that's great. So do what feels right. Do about 10 of those. And again, we'll do that on each side just to see how it feels and keep a nice tight core. All right. So next, another way to make that more challenging, we can add a core component. So you can do taps with your hands. And again, you can do this one standing. Just be careful. You can also do elbow to knee. So just be cautious when you're doing this, especially if you have a history of back pain. I don't want you really hunching over. So just a little bit of a forward crunch, but still keeping your back pretty flat while you're doing that. So we can go for about 10 of those if it feels good. Again, just another way to make it a little more challenging. All right. And then we're going to work a little bit different muscles. We're going to work these muscles on the outside of your hips. So this is commonly called a clamshell. You may have done these before where you tie a band around your legs and you pull them in or out. So that is one way to do them. To do them with little or no exercise, you can just do a tap. So you're going to bring your legs out, tap, and back in nice and slow. Again, sitting up nice and tall, good posture. Can do 10 on each. If this feels good, stick in this position. I'm going to show you how this looks standing. Again, you want to stand nice and tall and just a little kick out. So commonly what I see with this, people tend to lean to get more motion. You don't want to do that. That's going to be overcompensating. So you just want to go about half of that motion. Go what feels right, slow and controlled on the way down. And then again, you're going to switch and do the other side. Okay? So while I'm standing, I'm going to show a couple more. You can do a backwards kick. Same thing here, just a little kick. I don't want you leaning. Okay? Just a little kick. See what feels right. And then you can do about 10 of those on each. Hopefully that's feeling good for everyone. Keep that knee nice and straight when you're going back. And you also want to make sure your foot's not rotating out. Trying to show you guys a bad example there. So keep your toe lined up and pointed forward when you're doing that. All right. Again, while we're in this position, another one you can do is a hamstring curl. You can also do this one seated. Now, depending how much clearance you have in your chair, that might be challenging. All of these, again, you can use some ankle weights if you have them. That's a great thing to make it a little more challenging. And you want to go slow and steady, nice and controlled. All right, hopefully that's feeling good for everyone. So another one we can do, I'm going to see if you guys can see my feet here. We're going to do a calf raise. There we go. So up on your toes, slow and controlled on the way down. You can do this seated as well. The key here is slow and controlled. You don't want gravity helping you. You want to fight against it. You're going to get more of a benefit the slower you complete that exercise. So you can go for about 10 of these if that feels okay. And then once you get those completed, you're going to do the opposite. So tip your toes up. Now, this one is normal not to go as far, range of motion wise. That's perfectly fine. This is about as far as I can go without compensating. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Each muscle and each exercise is going to look a little bit different. So don't let that discourage you. We'll go for about 10 of those. Okay, I'll let you guys finish and I'll get ready for the next one. So the next one is another seated exercise. It's typically called a ball squeeze. You can use a ball. If you have a pillow, you can, again, just fold up a pillow, put it between your knees, and keep them flat on the ground. Again, back to that nice posture. Squeeze in and relax. So for this one, it's kind of like the first core exercise. If this is easy, you can do a 3-second hold with it. Again, if you're holding for 3 seconds, breathe out while you're doing that. Don't hold your breath that whole time. Okay. Pretty basic one, but definitely an important one. Good. Hopefully you guys are able to do this with something you have at home. Again, anything soft, even a rolled up towel, just to put something between your kneecaps so it's not as tender will be perfect. We don't have to go out and buy all the equipment. All right, let me get rid of this. We're going to work on a couple more core exercises. So if you have some weights, this is a good one to add a weight with to make it a little more challenging. Now, I just have a small dumbbell. It doesn't have to be something heavy. And we'll get into a couple more exercises with dumbbells when we get to upper body, but some things you can use at home instead of this. You can use some soup cans. You can use a water bottle. If you're handy, you can fill a water bottle with sand. That's going to make it a little heavier. Anything at your house that has a little bit of weight to it that you can safely hold and go through these movements is fine. So I'm going to take this little weight I have in front of me. I'm going to hold it about halfway. So I'm not going to extend my arms the whole way, just halfway. And you're going to rotate to each side. So with this one, you just want to go in your comfortable range. I'm not really pushing into a range that feels bad for me. Again, especially if you have any history of back issues, you don't want this one to increase that. So just do what you can. If that means you're just doing a little movement here, that's fine. You should still feel it in your core. So let's work on about 10 on each side there. You guys are probably already halfway through. And same thing with posture. You want to sit upright even though you're rotating. You don't want to be leaning forward and doing it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put this down. I have a tough one. I know you guys are up for a challenge. So I don't know if you've ever heard of bicycle kicks. It's typically done on the ground, but you can also do that in a chair. It is challenging. So you're going to lift your feet off the floor and do kind of like you're riding a bike. So I'm supporting myself on the chair a little bit, and you should feel that in your core. Make sure you're breathing throughout. Try not to hold your breath. Definitely a tough one. We're going to go for let's do about 10 circles. You can do forward, you can do backward. If that's hard, bring them down lower. So see how that feels. It's a little less work on your core. Then lifting up higher is harder. Okay? All right. Everyone take a break after that one. Hopefully that was a little more challenging. Again, my goal is to give you a couple different options to move through if something is extremely easy or extremely challenging. You have some options there. So before we move on to upper body, I want to show you some sit to stand. So that's a really basic exercise, but a really important functional exercise. Again, we need our stable chairs for this one. You're going to stand up. If you can do it without your hands, even better. And slow and controlled sit down. So just like this. All right, and let's do a couple of those. While you guys are moving through, I'm going to show you some other options. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. So this is basically a squat. And what we can do is we can change it to make it more challenging. So if you find that that squat or the sit to stand is easy, you can do a squat tap where you're just tapping down and coming back up. So I'm just really touching the chair and I'm not really using it for support. And I'm going to go back up from there. So just like that, that's a progression from there. If that is easy, you can do it without the chair. So same thing here, feet shoulder width apart and just a little sit. Don't feel like you have to squat the whole way down. I think that's a common misconception. People want to squat as low as they can. And if you have that range of motion and it feels good and looks good, great. But you don't have to make that your goal. It has to feel good for you. So form wise, again, feet shoulder width apart. You can go a little wider if that feels comfortable. Try to keep your toes pointed forward. You don't want them rotating in or out too much. And then you want your knees to be in line with your toes. You don't want to go too far forward. So you don't want to be doing like this, kind of coming forward like that. Okay. So just a couple of things to keep in mind while you're doing that. All right. So hopefully this felt good. That's a little tougher than some of the other exercises. I want you guys to take a little break now. We're going to get into upper body next. But before we do that, I want to talk just a little bit about some of the guidelines. So the American College of Sports Medicine, they recommend doing 2 days of strength training per week. And typically, if you're someone that's new to exercise, that's probably where I would say to start. The goal is to start small. I don't want it to be overwhelming. If you're someone that's been exercising regularly or you're a little bit familiar, you can increase it. You could do 3 days or you could do 4 days if you split it up. So by split it up, I mean doing, for example, an arm day and a leg day. So you would do maybe 2 arm days and 2 legs days, making 4 days total of exercise. So that's an option if you're more intermediate. Again, if you're new to exercise, you want to do 2 days of full body exercise. So just a place to start. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of a break and then we'll get into some arm exercises now. So if you have your weights or your water bottles or whatever you can find handy at home, go ahead and grab them. We're going to start to use those next. And then I'm actually going to start I'll start with a seated one and then I'll show you guys a couple progressions. But this one's for your triceps. So for this exercise, you're going to put your arm up, bend your elbow down towards your shoulder and your head, and back up. So just like that. Let me turn so you guys can see sideways. Good. So this is a good option for this exercise seated. Now, if you find that you want to try it differently, or if you have issues with overhead motions, I can show you some other options. Again, if balance is an issue and you think seated is the most safe, that's probably the go-to for that one. Another way you can do this is to use your chair. So you're going to keep your back flat, and you can use a chair for this, or you can actually use a table or a counter, whatever feels the easiest and the most safe for you. The higher it is, the easier it's going to be. So I'm going to show you this first, and you can just do a kickback. So just like that. And again, if that's easy, you can do it on a lower surface. Keep your back flat. That's key here. You want your back to be supported and nice and controlled kicking back. So make sure you're doing that on both sides. Another good exercise I like to do in this position is a row. So pulling up, slow and controlled on the way down. Again, you're not letting gravity just pull that weight down. You want to control that motion. Okay. And same thing, again, you can do that here if you need. In this position, nice flat back to keep it stable. Okay. So those are a couple different ways to do that to work on your triceps. Another great exercise I'm sure you guys have heard is bicep curls. So I like to scoot on the edge of the chair for this one. That way I have a little more motion. And you're going to bend and straighten your elbow. Nice and controlled. You don't want to forcibly go into extension. You want to take your time with that. So let's go for about 10 of those. And just take your time with that one. I always like to add hammer curls in as well. So I'll show you that next. You just rotate your palms so that you're in a neutral position, like you're hammering. And that just works just a little bit differently. It's very similar. And again, my reminder is about your form. So you want to not just form of your biceps, but form of your upper body, form in your core. So just make sure everything looks good when you're doing this. Nice tight core. And go through that. If these are easy, you can do a curl into a press. So this press in general was on my list as well to show you guys. So presses are great. If you have any type of upper body issues, any impingement, numbness, tingling, maybe just hold on this one. But this is a great exercise. And again, you can combine it with a bicep curl. So just giving you some options. Do what feels right for now. Okay. All right. And then a couple other things we can do for our upper body. We can do like an upright row. So again, I should probably stay on the front here. Pulling up into your chest. Okay. Bring your arms up a little. There we go. It's a better example. So in general, as far as some other recommendations, aside from 2 days a week, when you're doing your exercises, you want to do 8 to 10 multi-joint exercises if possible. So hopefully a lot of these options give you some ideas for 8 to 10 that you can pick. Each day does not have to be the same stuff. You can pick 8 for the first day, different 8 for the second day, whatever you are comfortable with. I like variety, so I like to do that with my routines. And when you're doing this, you want to do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Again, that's a baseline. You don't have to start with that today. See what feels right for you, and that's something you can work up to. Okay. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit. So next one is going to be a lift like this. So you want to make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Roll them back. Good posture. You can do this one standing as well. I'm going to show seated, but you can definitely do it standing. Nice and controlled. Good. I don't like to lift these up too high. I think shoulder height is a good place to start. So just make sure that feels comfortable for you. And then again, you're just doing that nice and controlled manner. Good. And now we're going to go out a little wider. So you're going to make a V and see how that one feels. Can do a couple of those. Nice and controlled. When you're picking a weight for these exercises, you want the last repetition of your last set to be challenging. So keep that in mind. Again, that's something to work up to. You don't have to do that today. You don't have to do that this week. But when you're trying to plan and say, hey, is this workout working for me? Is it challenging enough? Keep that in mind. You want your body to feel like, oh, I don't know if I could have done another set of 12 of those. Okay. And then another one, I'm just going to scoop for this one, is straight out. So just like that, slow and controlled. You can do about 10 of those. And don't feel like you have to use weight at all. Body weight is a great place to start. Weights just give you an option that when the body weight stuff feels easy, it's a way to progress. Good. And now we're going to switch and we're going to go forward. So we did this direction with our thumbs on top. Now we're going to switch our palms so that our palms are down and do a front raise. And listen to your body. So just because it doesn't feel uncomfortable, I don't write it off immediately. I do maybe a couple reps, no more than like 5, just to see how it feels. Sometimes you need to just loosen that area up and then it will feel better. But just pay attention if it feels better or worse as you're going. If it's something that's feeling worse, then that's your red flag to stop and just move on to the next thing. And then for this exercise, so we did this way with thumbs on top. Now we're going to do the same thing, palms down and lift like a lateral raise. And again, if it's anything, numbness, tingling, sharp pains, just hold the exercise. Okay. If it's something you're consistently reporting like that and it's getting worse, then it might be probably the point to reach out and get it investigated a little bit further. Um, but again, just listen to your body. Okay. Take a break from those. And then the last thing I have are a couple band exercises. Oops, sorry, I have one more with weights. We're going to do a punch. So get those weights back. And then you're going to do a punch. So there's a couple you can do in this direction. Punches are great. You can alternate. You can do the same side, right about chest height, like that. You can do a chest press. Pretend you have a bar and pressing forward, both at the same time. Again, both good options. Find what feels right. And you can do about 10 of those. And with rest breaks. So I know we took a little rest break earlier. Keep in mind, rest breaks are a good thing. They are your friend. Don't be afraid to take them. Use that as a time to reset mentally, reset physically. If you see your form is kind of going downhill, take a rest break. It's not defeat. I tell patients that all the time. Use them to your advantage. That's just your body's way of saying, hey, I need a break. But 9 times out of 10, you take that rest break and you can do another set then, and your next set will look better. So keep that in mind with your routine. It's okay to take them. And again, poor form is just your body's way of saying, hey, we need to pause this. We need a second to reassess. So keep that in mind when you're taking a rest break or when you feel like you should. Okay. So if you have a band, this is the last thing. If you have a band, you can do a bunch of different things with this. I'm only going to show you a couple. If you have been fortunate enough to be in physical therapy, then you probably were given one of these, or you can definitely purchase. You don't even have to buy a whole set. You could probably purchase one of the lighter ones and start with that for a pretty affordable price. And you can do a lot with it. But again, I'm just going to show you 3 different ones here. So you're going to hold it out in front of you and you're going to pull out to the side. If that is easy, then you're going to go closer, put more tension on it. If that's hard, you'll grip a little further out. All right, I see someone on there has a band. Awesome. Very cool. So you can go for 10 of those if you want. I'm going to show you some other directions. You can do diagonal. So just like this, nice and controlled. Good. Go for 10 of those. And then you'll switch and do the opposite, other hand on top. Good. And soreness is normal. If you're having a little soreness after a new session, that's okay. I say keep in mind where you're feeling it. That's just a good reference for what areas you probably worked a little bit harder. But soreness doesn't mean you have to stop. Soreness doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I'm really sore. I can't do that exercise again. That just means maybe you challenge yourself a little bit more with it. So just keep that in mind for your next exercise or your next day of exercise, I should say. Okay. But expect to feel a little sore. All right. Well, that is my last exercise for everyone. So I hope you found that helpful. And what I will do is I will send a whole list of these to the ladies and they can get that sent out to you so that you can continue to work on these on your own.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I was looking through the chat. There is a question in there so far. I'll give everyone else a chance to ask any more if they want to. But what would you say is the best exercise for toning that underarm area? Knowing we each have those areas that we're a little sensitive about or struggle with, but particularly the underarm area.
So I get this question a lot. That is It is a common area, especially I think in females, that they want to tone. I like to tone mine too, but the tricep exercises that we worked on are great. So those are the overhead lifts. I showed you guys a couple ways to do that. That's a great way to do it. The bent over one on the chair where you're extending out. That's a good way. I don't always like to just work triceps. I mean, that's going to specifically work that area, but I think also working on the biceps will help to tighten the whole arm too. And really, any shoulder exercise in that area is going to be beneficial, but triceps definitely is going to be what you want to target with that.
And then say if anyone's looking for one-on-one instruction or looking for any resources, are there any programs you'd like to put a nice plug out for?
Absolutely. So, as Becca had said earlier, I am working in the WellFit program. And for those that aren't familiar with it, it is a program through WellSpan Rehab. It is self-pay, so it's an out-of-pocket cost, but you can work with me, an athletic trainer, one-on-one for sessions. And it's all goal-based. So you basically come to the session and say, hey, I want to work on this, this, and this. We'll talk through your medical history, talk through barriers, and I'll create a program for you, and I will run through it with you. So happy to help. We have it in Adams County and we have two people in York County. So we have two locations in York that we can help with as well. And we have it on the website. So I will send that over to the ladies when they send the email out to you guys as well. If you have questions, our contact information is on there as well and you can reach out.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I know somebody on the session this afternoon did ask if there are any virtual offerings potentially coming up. Do you know of any of those?
I know it's in the talks. I would just continue to check our website under the events link. I when they're up and running, they'll be on there. Right now, we don't have any available, but my coworker Jody had completed some chair aerobics classes, so I know she has been in the talks of putting them back up. I just don't think she's picked any dates yet. So definitely keep it on your radar because I think the plan is to put them back up there. I just don't have a timeline yet.
Perfect. So we'll all stay tuned and then look for upcoming opportunities as they arise.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
And before everyone hops off, just a few thank you, Megan. That was wonderful. I actually made a note to give you a call for the strength training is something that I could definitely improve on. So I'll be calling.
Happy
Um,
to help.
just a few ending notes that again, we will email you Friday with a recording link as well as an evaluation link. If you could just take a moment to complete that. Also, if you go to winnerstreak.org, you are welcome to register for our very last workshop. It is a cooking demo featuring ripe plantain casserole. And you'll find other great resources there as well. So thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you all have a great night.